Thanks, Richard, for being here with us, and thanks for your film. Well, before opening to the audience, I might ask you 2 or 3 questions.
Sure.
Well, this is this film that this is your first fiction feature, and is it it has to do with the work you already have done as an artist, as a photographer, namely Raise
a
Laugh that you made in 1996. Is this kind of a backyard to that work, or?
Yes, it's I guess it's a backstory to that photographic work. When I was 19, I was doing a 1-year art course. I wanted to be a painter, and I was doing this 1-year art course in Birmingham, at Bourneville College of Art in Birmingham. And while I was doing this course, or just at the start of the course, my mother left. She left my father because he drank too much. And we were living in a tower block at the time, in a high-rise apartment. And my father, Ray, after my mother left, he stayed in his room and he drank. And as you see in the film, he didn't go outside. He didn't have a TV in the room. And during this time, I wanted to make some paintings about the tragedy of this situation. And I did some paintings, and they were from life. And I painted them very quickly. But after 15 minutes, he would want to move. He'd want to get another drink. And I decided that if I wanted to make more detailed portraits of him in his room, I'd have to get a camera and make some photographs. And that's what I did. And the photographs became better than the paintings, and I continued to photograph Ray, and then I photographed my mother Liz, and then these photographs became they got disseminated in the public domain, and then I stopped painting, and I became a photographer. But I think I said at the introduction recently, the last few years I've had children, and I've decided to go back and try to portray what it was like as a child growing up. And yes, the film serves as a backstory to those photographs.
And when you decided to use the exact names of the persons, although this is at the same time a fiction, but you use the exact names.
Yeah, pretty much where I can. Yeah, exact names.
Yeah. And would you tell about the empathy of and the dignity of these characters that we see here?
Oh, yeah. When I was painting my father when I was 19, I wanted to make I wanted to make the paintings about the tragedy of his situation, but I wanted the paintings to empathize with his situation. And the photographs did that too. When I made the film, I couldn't help make it without the empathy as well. I didn't want to make some sort of polemic. I wanted to make something that delved into the humanity and empathy of the story, and try and immerse the viewer in that. And while they're thinking about that, there's a story going on as well in the background.
And well, some technical choices you had in this film? So you chose at the beginning. You already had the idea. Well, I have to shoot the film in 16 millimeter print. I want to do this 3/4 frame, or is it something that came up during the working process?
No, to begin with, the obvious choice is video because we all think it's cheaper. And I met a cinematographer called Daniel Landin. He'd already made this film called Under the Skin, and I saw how good that film was, and I saw what he'd done with the camera. And when he looked at the location, and I told him the idea what I wanted to do, he said, I saw how excited he was. He said he should shoot it on film, and he knew more than I did about what he was doing. So I believed him, and we shot on film. One of the things I was worried about is that you can only do 1 or 2 takes on film because of the expense and the time constraints. But this, I looked at the work of Jeff Wall a lot. Anyway, I don't know that. What am I trying to say? I think just knowing that I've got 1 or 2 takes and I have to nail it in that, it forced me to make a really to make it very considered. You know, to think about every shot. I couldn't wing it.
But that meant also a great work with the actors in the film, rehearsing every scene just to make it kind of, I wouldn't say perfect, but close to the idea you already had.
I did, yeah, we did it. I was lucky we got rehearsal time. I did lots of rehearsals with the actors so that when they came on set, they weren't coming in cold. They could do it. They could just do it. I mean, I'd block the scene, but after that, they could just do it.
And what about the composition of the frame? Did you work it by yourself or together with your DOP?
Together with the DOP. I could see from the previous work he'd made that we shared very similar sense of composition in terms of how we compose for positive and negative space. So I felt I could trust him behind the camera. And I mean, in fact, if I tried to use his camera, I wouldn't even know how to switch it on.
And the attention to the details. There's a great attention to the details. So the objects.
Yes, I think because it's based on memory and a lot on childhood memory. As a kid, when you look at things, the scale is different. Everything looks very big. So you might look at the back of this chair and study it for half an hour, and it looks really big in your eye. Maybe it's to do with this, to do with going back to childhood. The details.
I just want to say that I really love this movie, and I think that it's difficult to make a comedy, and one of the things that I really like is that some movies nowadays become monotoned, and the thing that you made was that you made it very simple, so it didn't go off the rails, and that I really loved. But my question is really about the writing process. How did you came to make this movie with a structure that isn't very simple? So you go back and forth in a timeline.
For many years, I had this idea to write a short film about the time I spent with my father in the flat when he was drinking. And I always found it very difficult to write down the idea. And then when I became a teacher at university, they gave me a laptop. And I found that I could work very easily. I could write much easier on a laptop because I could cut and paste in a Word document. And so I wrote down this script, if you like, for the short film about my father, and it was about 30 minutes long. And after 4 years, maybe, I met together with a producer. We found enough funding to make this short gallery piece for gallery, single screen video installation. And yes, we made it, and we made it with the cinematographer Daniel Landin, and we screened it in a couple of places. But this short video installation piece, it also served as a pilot, and we were able to use this to showcase or to demonstrate what we could achieve with a feature film. I have to say, while I was shooting that short film, I decided to write another short film. It gave me the inspiration to write another short film about my uncle Lol, and you see him where he's drinking liquor from the bottles. And that didn't take too long to write. And then I had these two pieces of writing, and I thought if I could write another short film that could interconnect those two films already in existence, or the two scripts already there, then I would have a feature-length movie. And so I went about writing this third story about my younger brother Jason. This took the longest, and I think it was because I had to interconnect the other two films in this story. So to answer your question, the writing evolved. It's not like I sat down one day and thought I want to make a feature film. What's an idea? How can I do it? It evolved very gradually, like a tree growing.
Hi, I just want to ask, since what painters, photographers, what image makes and influence you in making this film? Because you started working as a painter and you talk of Jeff Wall. I just want to know if there's any specific people you try to emulate or use an inspiration for the film.
Hundreds and hundreds. But in particular Jeff Wall and the painter, the British painter Walter Sickert from the 19th, earliest 20th century. Especially, we know the shots where my father is in the room on his own. Sickert did this series of paintings called the Camden Town Nudes. And as a boy, I liked how the paintings were about everyday life, and the figure was sort of lying on a bed, and you just got the light from the window. And it seemed to me he created this sort of atmosphere in these interior paintings where it felt as if time stood still within their rooms, in their bedrooms, and maybe life was going on outside, time was passing by outside, but in the interior time stood still. So these paintings, this particular series of paintings of Camden Town Nudes by Sickert very much influenced me. In terms of filmmakers, I can only think of, two. I liked, when I was 24, I saw the Terence Davis trilogy. I liked it because I felt as if I was looking at his memories. And when I was about 10 years old, I also saw this film called A Man Escapes by Robert Bresson. And most of the film is shot within one room, and it's about this man trying to escape from a prison cell.
That's Bresson.
Bresson, yes. Yeah. In terms of Those are the names that come to mind. I mean, there's others, but those are the ones that stand out.
Thank you very much for such a nice, moving film. And it's so good that this is my question really. What do you enjoy most, photography or filmmaking? Difficult question.
There's different aspects to filmmaking. There's different stages. When I photograph, I'm a landscape photographer mostly. I know I've done work about my family, but I'm mostly a landscape photographer, and I love being outside and being absorbed or assimilated by the landscape and being at one with the landscape and making images. But I have to say that the part of the filmmaking process I like the most is being on set and the actual shooting of the film and working with a range of people. Out of all the creative things I've done, working on set is the best. It's the best for me. I like this the best. It's really, really intense, and I can't think about anything else except making the film. I don't even phone my family, or I wake up thinking about it and I go to bed thinking about it. It's like, I don't know, being in another world. In fact, when I finished filming this, I went back home, and there was a couple of occasions, and I thought that I was still on set. I remember being in the toilet and thinking, I have to sit really still because the camera's playing, and it was very weird. And then I found out to readjust to reality.
Hello, great movie, by the way, really enjoyed it. My question is, so this being a movie about your childhood, why did you decide to not include so much you in the movie, your character, and show more about your family?
Because I mean, I almost thought about making it without my character physically in it. I'm behind the camera and I wrote it, so I'm present in that way. I thought the less that I could show of myself physically, the better. Do you know what I mean? I didn't want my presence in it too much, in case people thought, "Oh, look, it's him. Why is he so special?" You know. Does that answer the question, or is that enough? In fact, you know, the little bit towards the end where the camera focuses on me when I was 14 or 15, and I say something like, "Can I be taken into care?" I really didn't want the camera to linger on me because it's not, you know, it's not. I'm behind the camera and I wrote it, and I didn't want people to feel sorry for me. But when the camera sits on my younger brother Jason, that's more important. Do you know what I mean? I've written it. I'm behind the camera, so I don't need to be in it too much.
Thanks a lot for being here. Thanks a lot, Richard Billingham. See you tomorrow.